Everybody, welcome to our meeting, our conference call. We have Chris Curtis on the phone with us. He's one of our top agents selling mortgage protection. He's going to talk a little bit about what makes him successful, how he does his leads, how he writes his, how he sets his appointments and things like that. If you have questions, go ahead and type those into your chat window. If you are online, I will then relay those questions to Chris, and we'll get those answered. The leaderboard, we usually do the leaderboard in the beginning of the meeting. We're going to probably do that at the end. We're still getting our numbers together from this week, but we should have those here in the next few minutes. But without further ado, I want to welcome Chris Curtis to the call. How you doing, Chris?
Ooh, I can't stand the applause. It's crazy. How you doing, Jason? Good morning.
I'm applauding for you.
There you go. I got the clap of one. I love it. Hey, Jason, I appreciate you doing well, man.
They would be clapping for you, too.
There you go. I love it. So my name is Chris Curtis. I've known Tim Langford probably since 2010, and Tim and I used to be in another IMO. That's how we met. Incidentally, I wish Tim was on the call today. I spoke with him moments ago, and he's boarding an airplane as we speak, so he's here in spirit. But it was funny because the first memory I can remember of Tim is him and I driving with the IMO to an after fun event or whatever. We were heading to a WWF event, which, if you know Tim Langford, that is the furthest thing from Tim Langford is wrestling.
That's awesome.
So, anyways, I had started in the insurance business, Jason, back in 2006. I used to work for General Motors, so I did the furthest thing from insurance ever. And when a buddy of mine, I saw the doors getting smaller at GM, and I ended up leaving. And so I didn't know what I was going to do next. I had to come up with a new career, and a buddy of mine was already doing insurance and suggested it, and I'm like, well, that's got to be about the dumbest thing I've ever heard, right? And so I kind of blew him off, and then my wife kind of got in my ear a little bit and then prayed about it a lot, and next thing we know, I've been in the insurance business for 10 years this year. So it's actually one of the best things that's ever happened, and God has a plan, we don't. He's definitely in control of that. But so I've been running mortgage protection since 2009. It has actually changed our business in the sense where we have been, consistent for quite a while now, doing over $100,000 a year, like Tim says. So when the one thing I want for people that don't know Tim that well, I mean, I probably should talk to Tim at least once a week, if not more, and Tim has got to be the most, and Jason, you've known Tim for a little while now, Tim has got to be the most honest, ethical person out there when it comes to just business, right, to life. And he's one of my great friends.
To say it's got to be.
Can you hear me, Chris? Maybe having a technical difficulty. He was on his phone, I think driving or something. We'll get him back here in just a minute. Still waiting on that leaderboard. I know everybody's anxious to hear their numbers for the week. Don't worry, we will have them, or I'll make them up. All right. I'm going to get Chris back here in just a second. He didn't send them to me. Oh, wait. Here we go. I just got the leaderboard numbers. I'm going to go ahead and read the leaderboard off as we get Chris back. Give me just a second here, everybody, and we'll get these up. You'd think we'd have this thing figured out by now. go. Get off there. Just a second, everybody. So we're uploading our file right now. Give me just a second. I'm going to have these leaderboard numbers up. I'll get Chris back in just a second. I'm going to have Becky in our office go ahead and read that leaderboard off in just a second. I wish this wasn't sideways. Can you read it like that? I can't hear you, Chris. Can you still hear us? So you can hear me. Try calling back. We'll get you back here in a second. I'm going to read these leaderboard numbers off right now. If you can you read it sideways?
Yes. Okay, for the third week of January, the top life producers are coming in at 21. We have Brian Crames with one submitted application for $1,116. Coming in at 20, we have Marilyn McCall with two submitted applications for $1,124. In number 19, we have Andre Dane with three submitted applications for $1,487. Holding the 18th spot this week is Eric Coons with two submitted applications for $1,695. And number 17 is David Neff with one submitted application for $1,855. At 16 is Stephen Castanway with two submitted applications for $1,986. Coming in at 15 is Dell Rice with one submitted application for $2,115.
Hold on a second. Hey, Chris, can you hear me now? No? We'll get you back in there.
Jason, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
Jason?
Yeah, so just stay on the line real quick, and we'll just finish up this leaderboard and get back to you.
No problem. All right.
So, for our 14th spot, we have Jesse Teague with four submitted applications for $2,352. And number 13 is Paul Brinson with four submitted applications for $2,532. Our 12th spot is held by Brad Bernard with one submitted application for $2,572. Coming in at 11 is Millie Dupke with three submitted applications for $3,227. Our 10th spot is held by Paul Kozak with three submitted applications for $3,725. Number 9 is Dennis Harnman with three submitted applications for $3,733. The 8th spot is held by Frank Indris with six submitted applications for $4,009. Number 7 spot is held by James Walker with 2 submitted applications for $4,136. At number 6 is Charlie Stivers with 1 submitted application for $6,325. The 5th spot is held by Christine Jesse with 1 submitted application for $6,900. Coming in at 4 is Mr. Tim Langford with 5 submitted applications for $8,340. Our 3rd spot is held by John Kaler with 3 submitted applications for $8,657. And number 2 is Josh Savak with 10 submitted applications for $11,605. And holding our top spot for this week in January is Doug Huber with 2 submitted applications for a total of $49,113.
Thank you, Rebecca. As always, your lovely voice is an inspiration to us all. Thank you very much. Chris, are you still with us?
I am. You got me now?
I did. Did you go through a tunnel or something?
But I don't know. Probably one of those cell bubbles. You know how they are.
Yeah. Well, it's okay.
That's all right. I'm good now.
If it happens again, we'll just get you on the call again. It's fine. All right. So those are our numbers for this week, everybody. Make sure that you listen to Chris right now and follow his steps. That's making him successful, and you'll be on this leaderboard next week or in the weeks after. All right, Chris. Sorry to keep you waiting. Go ahead and.
Well, you guys are good. I'm glad we were able to get back. You know, there's technology for you, right?
Yeah.
Well, just think if we didn't have technology, it would make our jobs even harder. You know, the funny thing is, I was edifying Tim Langford, and then it cut out, which I think is very funny. Sorry, Tim. But hey, impressive numbers. I definitely paid attention to the top 4. Those are some real numbers some people are putting up. And, you know, at the end of the day, what I like about that is Tim was number 4 at 8340. That's those are some solid numbers, and you know. I
know. He's still selling and full-time manager over here.
Exactly, and I will tell you, I know Tim, and he's got to be one of the hardest work. He works much harder than I do. I don't work that hard, not as hard as Tim does, and but you know, Tim actually puts up the numbers as well. So my point being earlier, and I'm going to move on, but you know, if Tim tells you something, it's going to be the truth, right? He has no hidden agendas, and he only wants to help agents make, you know, get successful in this business. And so that's kind of where he is. But you know, so we got started in mortgage protection, you know, back in 2009, and you know, it's been a nice ride. Has it always been easy? No, it hasn't. You know, but we've consistently been doing that over the last several years, over 100,000. And the best way I can describe it is, boy, just being consistent. You know, and that's sometimes that's the hardest part. I don't know about anybody else, but I actually work full time with my wife, Jason, my wife, Jody, and we both do insurance full time. So, you know, think about a household with two kids and 2 dogs and a mortgage and car payments and everything else, doing full-time commission sales, right? So, yeah, that just proves there is a God if you can work with your spouse full-time, right?
Yes.
But at the end of the day, you know, we're both very blessed because this business gives us the ability to do whatever we want, whenever we want. And, you know, we went on vacation in the middle of the year. We weren't planning on taking a vacation, but all of a sudden things happened, and we were like, hey, kids are off school, let's go. And we went in the middle of the week and didn't have to ask, you know, anybody, you know, for time off or anything. So I love this business, and if you're not doing it full time, that's okay. Tim is a proven leader where you can do it full time in that. But as far as, you know, like some people ask me all the time, how many leads per week do we take? You know, that depends on how your closing ratios are. We typically, to be consistent, we typically try to do 15 leads a week minimum. You know, I could do 10 leads a week, but you also have to look at the numbers. And, you know, if you're just an average person that's doing okay, you should be closing half of your leads. I'm sorry, let me take that back. You should be setting half of your leads. So if you want to run the numbers backwards and say you only set half of the appointments on your leads, so if you get 10 leads a week, you're only setting 5 appointments, right? And then out of those 5 appointments, you're going to close probably 2.5, right? So let's just bump it up to 3. So now you're going to write on average 3 apps a week, or 1.2 apps per household. So, you know, let's just call it 3 apps for easy math. So if you're writing 3 apps a week, that's not going to get you to a $100,000 income, right? Now, I know some people on the leaderboard did have, you know, only 2 and 3 apps and wrote pretty good premiums, but I promise you that doesn't happen every week, right? And at the end of the day, that's why we say 15 to 20 leads every single week, and I understand it at $400, or excuse me, at $40 a pop, you know, whatever the number is, whatever you're buying leads for, but I think that's pretty much the average, is, you know, that's a pretty big nut to crack every single week. But the great thing about this business is the system that we work with our schedule, it works. Like we always said, and my wife even said it today, the money is in the monotony of this business. And so it is very monotonous, but, you know, you have to know when you're going to dial. You have to stick to that schedule. We love dialing on Saturday mornings at 8 a.m. Some people say that's too early, but I promise you people answer the phone. And the people that don't answer the phone, well, they get a call back at 9 o'clock, you know. And so we set most of our appointments on a Saturday morning. That's when we like to set them. We've set them all different times of the week in that. But 15 to 20 leads a week. Here's the biggest tip I can tell you right now, Jason, to make sure that your business runs consistent. As far as budgeting goes for your leads, whatever you make, whenever you get a deposit, first of all, I would recommend having a separate checking account for your business, right? And if you're set up correctly, you already have that. If you don't, go get a separate checking account. Every single deposit that you get from a sale, 20 to 25% needs to go into your business account, minimum of 20%. And what that does is it ensures that every single week you have the money to pay for those leads. Does that make sense?
Right. Yeah.
Yep. And so we always say don't eat your seed, right? And a lot of people starting on this business, they'll go out and they'll go run a business and they'll get, you know, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 in the bank, and next thing you know, it's gone. And well, then they don't have any money for leads, and then they're calling their upline or their manager, whoever, begging for some free leads or bonus leads or whatever. And at the end of the day, as long as you always take that minimum 20%, I say 25, and you put that into your business account, you always have money for leads, and that served us very well. And that was something that we had to overcome and learn as we go along. But I will tell you, Jason, that when we first started doing mortgage protection, we failed miserably. I failed miserably. My wife wasn't doing it back in 2009 and 10 when I started, but I failed miserably. Why was I failing? I was a product of my own ego, right? What you have to understand about me is I was 50 years old. Well, no, then I was 45. I don't know how old I was, but no, whatever. I'm 50 now, but so I was roughly 45 years old, and I've run a couple small businesses before, and I thought, yeah, I can do this. And I got on the phone, and I failed miserably because what I was saying on the phone was getting the wrong response. And in this business, the phone call is the first bit. So, Jason, if I'm calling you and I'm going through the motions on the phone, but my verbiage isn't right, my tone isn't right, how I talk isn't right, well, I'm going to screw up the lead right away. And trust me, at $40 a pop or 20, I don't know how much you're paying, but it's going to go pretty darn fast, right? And but so the one thing that the other tip I would say, you have to get good on the phone. And I was terrible on the beginning. I remember sitting in a park on July 12th, 2008, Not 2008, I'm sorry, it was 2011. And no, I'm sorry, it was my first full year. It was 2010. Long story short, it was miserable. I couldn't close anything. And then come to find out, I had to get past my ego and really listen to the people that are doing it. Because, and this is one of the reasons that Tim had me on the call today, and I'm very honored to be on the call, is, we have consistently produced every week, every year, and at the end of the day, the only way we got there was by listening to people that have already done it, right? And
right.
So the phone call is the first step. You got to make sure that you don't sound like a telemarketer. That's the first and foremost. I always sound like I know every person on the phone. So if it says Richard, I'm going to ask for Bill. Or even if I say Richard, I'll say, I'm sorry, I called you Richard. Do you go by Richard? After I got them on the phone for a little bit. I always want to make sure that they, I'll give you an example. Let's say I'm calling Bill and Mary, right? And if I'm calling Bill, because Bill's the one that filled it out. I'm not going to ask for Mary, even though her name's on the lead. Bill's the one that signed it. He's the one that filled it out. I'm going to ask for Bill. So if I ask for Bill and Bill says, or Mary answers the phone and says, no, Bill's not there, I'm just going to say, okay, thank you. I'll catch him a little later on. Or I might say, when can I catch him? And, she'll tell me or not. And I say, okay, that's fine. I'll just get off the phone. I'm not going to go into, oh, this is Chris with the Mortgage Protection Center. I'm giving him a call back because he had filled this form out. And then what do I sound like, Jason, right? I sound like
right.
a telemarketer. Because what's going to happen is she might say, okay, I'll give him the information, but then the problem is when I call back, he's not going to answer the phone because, oh, there's that same phone number. It's a telemarketer, right? But if I just say, oh, Bill's not around, okay, when can I catch him? Yeah, what's this about? I'm giving him a call back. I'll catch him a little later on, and I'll just get off the phone. Now, if she presses me on it, I'm gonna explain. I'm gonna say, is this Mary? Because Mary's name's on the thing, right? Yeah, this is Mary. Mary, this is Chris. I'm with the Mortgage Protection Department. I've got his information here. He filled out and sent this back about protecting your loan. Did he tell you, Mary? Right? And so, but I'll say it, but I'm gonna talk to her, but in a conversational way. I don't want to say that I'm Chris Curtis with the Mortgage Protection Center and I have this form and blah, 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 and sound too official. The minute you start sounding official is the minute that people start hanging up on you. Make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. So, that's, as far as that's really where it all starts. So you got to hone your craft on the phone, and after a while, and it'll take a little while, but I mean, to this day, if I'm still making, maybe not to this day, but probably a couple years ago, I was still using a script where I would still have it in front of me, whether it's taped on my wall. Even though I knew it forwards and backwards, I still had it because what I found was when I was still good at it, when I started getting good at it, but then I would get away from it because I thought I knew what I was doing. So when I wouldn't stick to the system of the script right, then I would kind of just start saying things I shouldn't be saying, right? And so be consistent. That's what I can definitely tell you there. We got any questions there, Jason?
Not yet.
Okay. So, the one thing I could tell you guys is for everybody on the phone is this is I am happy to take questions and help you guys out because this is how I learned. And at the end of the day, whatever you're having problems with, this is the time to ask. So I'm definitely going to go over a few other questions here. But, if there's something you guys want to know, how to get around a problem that you're having, this is definitely the time to ask. So if not, that's okay. I'll give you what I can, and we'll do what we can today.
So one of the things that I see here is you actually bring the lead with you to the appointment and you keep it on the table in front of them. How important is that?
It's very important because that always reminds them as they continually looking over that that they filled it out, right? you're not there just because, you know, you caught them by chance. They actually took the time to fill it out. They didn't fill it. They wouldn't fill it out if they didn't have a need for it. So the one thing I do is I use the lead, and that's where I take all my notes. I write his name on the top left on the back and her name on the top right on the back, and their ages and their income and what if they have a 401k and how much the house is worth and how much their mortgage payment is. And I get all that information. And, you know, do you have any 401ks? Do you have any this? Do you have any that? And then I have to tell people sometimes too. It's like, please don't think that I'm trying just to gather a bunch of information. The only way I can help you out with is truly understand where you guys are at. And when you go through, Bill, how much do you make, and Mary, how much do you make, you know, that right there can pretty much tell you, because if Bill's making $55,000 a year and Mary's making $12,000 and they have a $1,800 mortgage payment or even a $1,000 mortgage payment a month, well, right there's the pain, right? You know why they filled it out. But having the lead on the table in front of them is important. And even though I do write on the back of it, I'm constantly flipping it over because I'm looking at their birthdays, I'm looking at mortgage amounts, I'm looking at you know, what they wrote down on the paper. Sometimes people will write notes on the front of it. You know, right. need this bad. You know, there's all kinds of things there. But you know, and I always go back to the lead over and over and over during the appointment. So I'm constantly, for me, flipping my notes back over because I'm looking at the lead and then taking some more notes. But in the beginning, I will tell you, let me finish this part off here, is when at the beginning when I'm trying to bond and rapport with them, I take the lead and I put it out on the table right away. Matter of fact, the only thing I'm carrying in my hand is my lead. I have my bag on my shoulder, and when I get to the door, I have the lead already. And I kind of am holding the lead a little bit so they can kind of see it because they know they filled it out. It's the same way of having it on the table, right? And so, but when we get there, I put the lead right on the table, right where I'm going to be sitting, and I direct them where I want to sit. I want to sit in the best spot possible. I don't want him on the left and her on the right. I want to put them together side by side. And the way I get around that is I say, look, you know, Bill, I tell you, well, why don't you sit here, and Mary, why don't you sit there? And because if they start sitting left and right of me, I'll say, if you guys sit there, because I'm going to be playing this tennis table game, and then I'm going to be my head's going to be going back and forth, and we laugh about it, right? It's a stupid joke, but I promise you it works. And you have to direct them where to sit. If you're not directing them where to sit, you know, it's not working. I've been told you need to go to the kitchen table. I love going to the kitchen table. I will go to the kitchen table all day long. But sometimes people don't have a kitchen table, or it's just a mess. I've sold them at the couch. I've sold them on the porch. I've sold them everywhere. But I will tell you, get to the kitchen table if you can get to the kitchen table. Okay. I've even sold one in my car once. That was a pretty unique situation. Real quick, funny story. I get to a guy's house, and he lived out in the hills, and he had a big circle driveway, and I pull in, and I'm getting ready to get out, and he jumps right in my car. And I'm like, what? Hi, John, how you doing? He goes, great. Can we do this in here? Because I got a big old dog in there. He won't like you. I said, that's great. We'll just do it. So we pushed our seats back a little bit, and it was nice and springtime, and had the windows open, and we sat in the car for about a half hour. Boom, boom, boom. He got out. I had a check. I drove away.
Wow.
Best appointment I ever had. I wish they could all come in my car, but you know, go to the table because that's going to be the best place.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, I have some questions here.
Go right ahead.
Where are you located at, Chris?
I live in Dayton, Ohio.
Dayton, Ohio. Are you a Buckeyes fan?
OH.
Or are you a big Michigan Wolverine fan?
Oh well, you know, we can't use the M word around our house.
Okay. Another question is, how big of an area do you work? I mean, do you have like a certain mile of radius that you don't go past, or do you keep it more local?
No, you know, everybody wants to run in their backyard. At the end of the day, I like running 3 and 4 hours away sometimes. Tim and I talk about this a lot. We find a honey hole, right? You find a bunch of leads, you know, all of a sudden in my area, leads will start getting a little thin, and there's maybe some other people running in my area. So then you're running into certain people. Go find a place. Go get on a map. Talk to Tim, talk to whoever does your leads, and figure out, where's a good pocket of leads coming in, that people aren't running. I love running 3 and 4 hours away because I don't come home at night. I'll go away for 2 or 3 days, and I'll stay in a hotel. I've even slept in my car before, but that's typically a one-night deal, and I maybe have a quick appointment the next morning, then I'm heading home. But what it does, it's you're not distracted. There's only one thing to do, and it's work. So right. I don't have the kids getting all over me. I kiss the wife goodbye, and I'm gone for 2 or 3 days, and it's not a bad thing. It was a little different at first, but at the end of the day, it's nice to go out and do the job you got to do for 2 or 3 days, and then come home and know I've made several $1,000s, right? I mean, you tell me what other job you can do. I mean, good Lord, Tim Langford did $8,340, and right. I promise you, he only worked 2 or 3 days. Right. But I do know, and I did talk to him several times this week because of the call and some other business we were talking about. But I mean, he was, we were talking one time. Well, I gotta get off the phone. I gotta get some appointments set, brother. And all of a sudden he's off the phone and he's making dials. And he's already worked an 8 to 10 hour day, probably 10, 12 hour day, knowing him.
Yeah.
So go run away. Yep.
I got some more questions here. What's your like average premium, and what's your lead cost that you average? Do you buy them in bulk or what?
We usually do about 15 to 20 a week. And so at the end of the day, like I said, it's consistency. If you're getting 20 leads a week, you're not going to have any problems setting, somewhere but like right off the bat, you're not going to have a problem setting 12 to 14 appointments. I can set 14 appointments on. Here's what you have to understand. First of all, let's kind of jump back for a second. If you have 20 leads a week, you're not going to set 20 appointments. Don't expect to, right? We set all the appointments we can. We usually, that's about 65%. That's about all the appointments you're going to set. The other ones are either going to blow you off the phone because it happens, or you're going to have to drive by. Like at the end of the day, if I get 20 leads, I'm going to set probably 15 or 16 total, but I'm going to have to drive by and set 2 or 3 appointments because I can't get them on the phone. So when I'm out running business and I have free time, then I'm going to schedule those drive-bys in there, and I'm going to drive by their house and say, hey, Bill, I'm Chris, Mortgage Protection Center. I'm going to hold the lead up and say, you filled this out, right? Apparently the office had trouble catching you, or okay. I had trouble catching you on the phone. They got me, and then he's going to remember it and see it and go, oh, yeah, that's fine. And then you either, A, go into the appointment right then, or you have to know your schedule when you go to the door and do a drive-by, because you have to be able to set it right then. Don't say, I'll call you. That's terrible. You got them right there. Set the stupid appointment, right? Right. Get it done. So. Okay.
Another question is, no, you're fine. Do you get a lot of referrals from the people you're seeing?
I got to say, we do get a lot of referrals. We get a lot of referrals just from, I don't want to say this because it sounds, I don't know, I think it sounds bad. It's because of the way we run our business. We have a business card, and on my business card, it says all of our information, but I also did the back. And on the back I have, give this to your friends or family so we can help them. But then I also have listed all of our services that we do, and I have our service motto. That's just something that we do. But I have everything that we listed, and we also do some health insurance, we do some other things, but as far as the life insurance, we do annuities, we do rollovers, we do kids policies, right? We do final expense, we do a lot of different things. A lot of them are in the same field, for instance, life insurance, but in the same sense, if somebody doesn't know that you do it, are you telling them everything that you do? So the other day, my point is, I made $800 the other day because on the back of my business card, it says what we do, right? And he goes, oh, you guys, I was doing a health, a Medicare thing, and the guy was like, you do health insurance? I'm like, yeah, or life insurance? So, yeah, we do life insurance. Great, let's talk. Next thing I know, I make $800 just because it was on the back of my business card, right? So, if people don't know what you do, there is a 3-foot rule in insurance. Everybody should know what you can do and how you can help them. But most people don't do that.
Couple more questions. Hey, it's not cheesy if it works, man. If it works, it works.
That's right.
You know?
That's right.
Okay, couple more questions here. What's your main carrier? Do you have a main company that you sell, or is it pretty well rounded around the board?
We use a lot of companies, but at the end of the day, I like Phoenix, I like Mutual of Omaha, and I like Foresters. Okay. Those are probably my top 3 life insurance companies I use. And I will tell you this, we don't do fully underwritten policies. If you're doing fully underwritten policies, you're kidding yourself. Because at the end of the day, I had an appointment last night, and I'll tell you exactly, this is a very big deal about why we've also been successful. If you want to do fully underwritten policies, you will not be successful as doing simplified issue. Because at the end of the day, fully underwritten policies, anytime you give DNA, and I told my client this last night, anytime you give DNA to an insurance company, you're asking for problems. You're looking to be rated up, and you're looking to be canceled. And then she told me a story where she did get canceled. They didn't accept her, right? This happened 7 years ago. So we had to go through all of that. So she understood it quickly, but most people don't understand it. But I say, look, with technology these days, they can find out every single thing about you. All they're going to do with this type of application is they're going to do a prescription check, and they're going to make sure that, you don't have heart attack, cancer, stroke, you don't have all the big stuff that I already asked about. Right. And so, I said, I don't want anybody coming in and poking and prodding on you because you ain't got time for that, right? And people don't. People don't want to have an appointment and wait on a nurse, and then the fully underwritten, it's going to take anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks to get approved or longer because they have to get an APS from the doctor. If you go simplified issue, I've had Foresters and Mutual of Omaha do them in 2 days. And I'm paid by day 4. So, matter of fact, that last Mutual of Omaha I wrote, I put it on a Monday, and it was in my account on Thursday or Friday.
Nice.
That's solid. So you want to get paid fast, go simplified issue, because also the client I had last night, Jason, she had cholesterol, and she had, there was another medication, but basically if it was fully underwritten, she would have been a standard rating anyways.
Right.
So most people have blood pressure, cholesterol, some kind of problem or a weight issue that they're going to be rated up anyway. So save yourself some time and your client's time. Does that help?
Yeah, absolutely. Here's another question I got. What's your average premium?
That you're getting? Yeah, we typically, I think the last time I looked, my average premium on mortgage protection was about $74 a month. That's our average. Some, so some a little lower, some definitely higher. But yeah, I'd say around there.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Yeah, right around $74 a month, because I have a spreadsheet that I use, and I do have an average, so I do look at that from time to time. I think that was the last number that I saw. And if I'm running into a lot of final expense, that number definitely gets lower. I think my final expense average premium is $50. But so let's talk an average term, about $80 a month. So when you average those out, it comes, it's all relevant.
Do you run your quotes for your clients before your appointment, or do you run quotes at the appointment with like the e-apps and stuff?
Like how do you get? I like e-apps. I don't run them in the e-app. I run them You know, like for instance, Mutual of Omaha, I have their mobile quoting tool on the phone. I got Forrester's mobile. Actually, I've got all of them. Those three companies I talked about, I work with other companies too, but those are the main three that I use. I have the mobile quoting app on my phone, and actually, so if you know how it's done, you know it's not that hard to do. But I actually made it an app on my phone, right? So I have a link on my phone. It looks just like an app. So it says it says Forrester's, and I just click on it, and then I can run it right there on my phone. I've got a big Note 5, right? So I can, or I've even carried an iPad, and I've used that. I like it because it's quick and easy, and I can figure out numbers very fast. So I do run them there because I have run them before, but it just depends on the situation. Most of the time, I'll run them in the house.
You'll actually run the quotes in front of the clients.
Yeah, I run them. I run them in front of the client. Yeah. I was like, great, okay. You know, but see, the one thing, you know, let me talk about one thing real quick. Is like when you're in a house, you have to get their buy-in, right? So I'm telling them what I'm going to do, what the process is, and then I do it, right? So, you know, if I sit down with you, Jason, I'm like, great, you know, we talk for a while, and I'm like, okay, so this is your mortgage is how much, and let me get some information about you so I understand, so I can figure out how I can best help you. I get all that information, and then I go into, look, I can't approve or deny you, they won't let me, right? But my only job is to find something that fits your budget, because if it doesn't fit your budget, it's not going to work, right? And I shake my head yes, and they shake their head yes. And so I'm getting their buy-in here, and and I've already got to the pain, I've got to all that, right? So at the end of the day, I'm making sure that they understand what the process is, and I lay it out. You know, I'm going to do this. I'm going to find something that fits your budget. Once you let me know which one fits your budget, we send some paperwork in for approval. If they come back and they say yes, I'll call you right away, tell you the good news. You'll get a policy in the next week or two. They'll send it to your bank just like everybody else does every single month. I don't say they take it out of your bank. I say they send the payment to your bank, right? It's the way that you say things. Obviously, if I say they send it to your bank every week, that sounds a lot better than they say they take money out of your bank every week, right? And so the whole point is I give them an expectation of what's going to happen in the appointment, and I do it pretty early. Right? After I find the pain, I go through, let me tell you the process so you understand how this works. And so when I tell them all that, then they know what to expect. And they know that I'm going to figure out numbers. And they know we're going to find someone in their budget. And they know we're going to fill out paperwork. And they know I'm going to send it in. And they know they're going to, whenever they get approved, I'm going to call them. And they know they're going to get a thing. So, and I do exactly that. Because I just told them that, and I promised them I'm going to help take care of them before I leave.
Okay. Right. I got some more questions here.
Go ahead.
Real quick question: do you run appointments like after 6 p.m. or what? Like how late do you run them?
Yeah, I run them all day long. Yeah, I mean if I run Monday, typically when I run appointments, everybody has their own schedules. I used to run the weekends. I know Tim runs the weekends. I run them Monday through Thursday. I'll run a Friday appointment, but I don't run too many Friday nights. But that's me, right? Like everybody runs a little bit different. I know people that will just run Friday, Saturday, Sunday, right? They have a full-time job, or sometimes people just want to do that anyways. I have very good luck Monday through Friday. I'll run a Saturday and Sunday appointment if I need to, because that's when they can meet. But you know, I don't do it that often.
How about in the evenings? Do you run them a lot in the evenings?
Running all the time, because people work. They don't get home till after 5, right? Yeah, I run my last scheduled appointment of the night is around 10 o'clock. I don't run too many 10 o'clocks. I don't run too many 9 o'clocks, but I'll definitely work 7, 8, 8:30 appointments, no problem. You know.
Okay. Another question: do you ever ask your prospects to get out any current life insurance policies? And
oh yeah, all the time.
Do you do that at the appointment? Well, do you do that at the appointment, or do you have them try to get it ready before the appointment?
No. You have to talk about their current life insurance, or you're going to shoot yourself in the foot. Because then they're going to say, well, I already have life insurance, right? So at the end of the day, Jason, if I don't ask you about what current life coverage you have, you're just shooting yourself in the foot. You might as well just get up and walk out, because that's the excuse they're going to give you. I have work coverage. I have this. So I call it the preemptive strike. Right? You have to make sure that you bring all that up. So on the back of their sheet, when I'm getting all their information, I say, well, great, let me get some information from you real quick. And I actually did type up a sheet to where it looked a little more official, and I had all this stuff, right? So, I mean, I'll tell you right now, if anybody's got a piece of paper and pencil, write this down. I write their name, their age, their smoking status. I write their date of birth. I write how much their mortgage is, who their mortgage company is. It's a mortgage protection appointment. You have to get mortgage details. How much their mortgage is a month. You have to include escrow, not just their mortgage payment. Mortgage, their escrows, insurance, and taxes. That's what they have to pay. I ask about life insurance. Who do you have? Do you have life insurance through work? Okay. How much is that? I ask about, do you have any 401k? Do you have any retirement through work? And when you ask it in a certain way, people will just tell you like it's no big deal. But if you ask them, do you have any 401ks, and you make it sound kind of weird, then they're going to say, well, why are you asking that? Right? But if I say, let me have some information, and that's just the process, because you have to understand their whole situation. If they got a big old 401k, well, maybe they don't need mortgage protection, or that's what they'll tell you. Right? So let's go back to the life insurance thing real quick. Jason, if I say, do you have life insurance through work? Great. And you say yes, the first thing I'm going to say is awesome. You don't own that, right? Did you take out any extra, or do you just or is that just the benefit through work? That's just the benefit through work. Okay, so your employer owns that, right? Yep. So I've already established it's not theirs. Yeah, most people, I hear, and then I'll say this exactly. I'll say, look, I hear people tell me all the time they have life insurance through work, but even if you can take it with you, it's going to cost you an arm and a leg by the time you retire. And it's going to cost you more than you can even afford. And most people, 90% of the people, can't even take it with them. Right. So I discount that right away. If I don't do the preemptive strike, it's not going to help you.
So you'll basically ask these questions like at the appointment. You don't ask them about their life insurance when you're setting the appointment?
No. I don't do that on the phone. No.
You do it at the appointment. Okay.
I do it at the appointment. Yeah. I don't ever ask them on the phone if they have life insurance. That's odd.
Yeah. That might be your point. Here's a question.
Your appointment.
So I got a couple more questions. What about some objections when they say we need to think about it, we need to talk it over? How do you overcome something like that?
Okay. The first way I overcome it is I tell them, let me tell you how this. I'm going to go back to what I said earlier. Jason, let me tell you how this works, right? So basically, I'm just a field underwriter. I can't approve or deny it, right? My only job is to see if I can help you guys and send paperwork in to see if the company will accept you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you some health questions, right? Figure out which company, because we work with about 12, so figure out which company is going to work best for you. Then I'm going to come up with some numbers, and then we're going to find something to fit your budget. If I can't fit something that doesn't fit your budget, it doesn't make sense, right? And they go, yep. So we're going to find something to fit your budget. When we do, we'll fill out some paperwork for approval. I'll send that in. So I'm giving you a rundown of what's going to happen. I say, is that fair?
Yeah.
And you say what? And if you don't respond to me, I'm going to say it again. Jason, that's the process I have to do. And sometimes I even write it out on the my sheet a little bit on where my notes are, so they kind of understand the process, right? And so I kind of have, and it's really messy, trust me, but they're watching me on the back of the sheet as I write all this stuff down, right? I'll put a Q for questions. I'll make a little, you'll get a policy in 1 to 2 weeks. I'll make a little square and put a P on it for policy. And then they send it to your bank, and I'll write B for bank. So when I do all that and I tell them what the process is, I'm going to say, is that fair, Jason?
Yep. Yeah, that's fair.
All right. I just got your buy-in.
Yeah.
Right? Why are you going to come back and say you want to think about it? Right?
Yeah, I don't.
and so also what I've done, and I still do, I'll say, look, Jason, this is what, and so even if you tell me yes, I'm going to go back to what I just said. I'm going to go, Jason, and I'll point to my page and I'll say, Jason, this is exactly what I have to do to get you approved. If you want to protect your family, this is the way I have to do it. Is that what you want to do?
Yeah. I mean,
okay.
the way that you sell it, the way that you make it sound, it's hard to.
And it's game on. Now, if I get any objections, I'm gonna and I say, Jason, this is what I have to do to protect your family. I'm only here because you filled this out. Is this what you want me to do? And if he says no, or they want to think about it, and I get all those objections before, well, I'm not going to go through the process of asking the questions and everything else.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm not going to waste my time if you really don't want to protect your family.
Right.
And I've had many. I do have appointments where, okay, I just wanted to know what it was. Okay. And then, the best way to get good at this, the only way, I don't even call it selling. You're there, you're the doctor, you're just trying to figure out what their problem is and how you can help them out. This is not a sales job. It is a sales job, but I don't think it is a sales job, right? Like I don't look at it that way. If you look at it like it's a sales job, you're not going to be that successful. If you look at it as you're going to go out and you're going to help these people because they ask for help, and yeah, you're going to make money off of it and you support your family, that's great because you're entitled like everybody else in America. But if you concentrate on the service aspect of this business, you'll be successful, I promise you.
Okay. So do you have any, so with those objections, do you have any objections where they won't give you their financial information? It probably goes back to the objections.
If somebody, now before I have had people not give me their Social Security number. It was early on in my sales career, and I didn't. They didn't trust me. Let's put it that way.
Okay.
If they won't give you their information, they don't trust you. That's my take on it.
So what do you do about that? You try to, how do you earn their trust back?
You have to build a rapport. You have to build a rapport back very quickly, or I don't even know if sometimes you can't repair it. Here's what you have to remember: does all this stuff work every time? No, it doesn't. Does everything that Tim is going to teach you or anybody else is going to teach you on the phone work every time? No. Does everything work every single time in the home? No. Why? Because this is a great business, but you have to deal with people.
Right.
And so people are the common factor of why this doesn't work every time, because everybody's different. But if anybody plays blackjack, I'm a blackjack player. I like to play blackjack. I can tell you, if you play by the basic strategy of blackjack, you're going to be more successful than lose if you do it the right way. But the minute you veer from that, you're going to start losing money. It's the same way. This business is the exact same way. If you do it the way that we teach you to do it, and you do it the way you're supposed to on the phone, and you do it the way you're supposed to in the home, you're going to be more successful than not. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, that's my. Let me say one more thing before we move on. Do I get any objections? I still get objections, even though I do that preemptive strike and I tell them what the process is, and what I have to do, and I say, is that good with you? And I say, no, really, this is what I have to do to protect your family. Is this what you really want to do? And I'm going to look at them in the eye, and I'm going to be serious about it, right? And I'm not going to stray in the way that I say it, because if you're kind of, I can't think of the word I want to use, but if you don't say it with confidence and like, because you're the true professional, then they're not going to trust you, right? But I still will get objections when I do all that, and then I ask them the health questions, and then I get numbers together. Occasionally, I'll still get somebody who will go, we just can't do it. And I'll say, so none of these fit your budget? Yep. Ask questions, ask questions, ask questions, ask questions. That's how you help people. If you don't ask questions, and you have to learn to shut up in the home. That's something I still have a problem with. There you go.
Get them talking a little bit. Ask the questions, get them loosened up, right?
Yes, and you have to build a rapport with them when you get in the house right away. You talk to them. Where did you work? Oh, really? You worked at Right Pat? My dad worked at Right Pat. Whatever it may be. When we say putting the lead on the table, the first thing I do for about the first 2 minutes is when I sit down at the table and they finally sit down, I have the lead in front of me. I'll take the lead and I'll push it to my left, and I'll just have it over there. And it's out of the way, and I'm looking at them. I'm concentrating on them for about 2 or 3 or 5 minutes, and all we're doing is conversing. And we're talking, and that's when I bond and rapport.
Okay.
Right? You can't let the bond and rapport take too long. Right? You can't let it go and go and go and go and go. You have to be consistent, and you have to keep the process going. And so, when it's my turn to talk, if they're talkers and they keep talking and talking and talking and talking, when I can get a word in edgewise, then I look at my watch and go, oh my gosh, I can't believe I've been talking way too much. I got other appointments today. Let me get into this. And then I'll grab the lead and I'll say, remember that? That's what you filled out. Is that your signature bill? Great. Right? So you have to keep the process going, because you'll get some talkers, and that's just going to weigh you down. So.
Right.
Anything else, Jason?
You've been really great so far, man. It's been a really good call. I think I've went over all the questions that I have been asked. I think we're good right now. Tim and I and Rebecca earlier, we are actually working on a little role play video. We did about half of it last week. We're going to try to finish up the other half next week, where where Tim actually does a role play of an in-home appointment. And I'm one of the guys that he was trying to sell to, and in one of the skits, I play hardball a little bit. I give him those objections. I think about it, and you see Tim try to overcome it, and he's so good that even me acting, I still wanted to buy the product, but I was still being stubborn all the way to the very end, just because that's what we wanted to show. We wanted to show you and all the people out there how to overcome those in a real life scenario. But I'm directing that, and we haven't finished it yet. It's going to be pretty cool though. It'll be like a 6-part series, like a 6 or 7-part series. I'm gonna have it up here in the next couple of weeks. It's gonna be awesome.
That's great. The next time you're taping, Jason, the next time you're taping, throw them a curveball and just take whatever's on the table and just swipe it off the table and say, I'm not buying anything from you, and just walk out. Yeah. I guarantee you can't come back from that.
Has that ever happened to you? People just get mad at you?
That has never happened before. No, it's funny though. All right. I like that's going to be pretty powerful stuff. That's good.
Well, I appreciate it, Chris. You taking your time out and teaching us and showing us your procedure on this. It's been pretty informative. We still got a pretty good audience attending. We've been on the call for about an hour. But if anybody has more questions, you can email Tim directly at tim@gordonmarketing.com. He knows all these products, Phoenix, Mutual of Omaha, Foresters. He knows all those products. he can give you some guidance on your appointment setting. But I think that's about it. I'm going to try to put this up on YouTube here in the next day or so. So if anybody missed it or wants to recap, we can do that. Hey, Chris, I got some requests here. Do you mind if people call you for any advice, or would you prefer them?
Give me a call. You know, everything that I know, Tim knows also. I mean, I'm happy to help anybody out that they need. So at the end of the day, if somebody does want to give me a call, yeah, they can do that. Tim has my number, and he'll be happy. I'll give him permission to pass that out.
Do you want to give it to us right now?
If somebody wants to contact me, 937-239-9592.
937?
239-9592.
9392?
No, 239-9592. Area code 937.
So 937-239-9592.
There you go. Yep.
So if you do call Chris, make sure you you know, keep it professional. Don't blow him up too much. If you're gonna blow somebody's phone up, make sure you call Tim. He would love that. And or you can call our office. Our office number is 800-388-8342. Just call in and ask to be transferred to Tim, and they can get you over there. He's really good at answering his voicemails and emails, so don't be shy to call us. But I think that is about it, man, with all my questions. So I will let you go, Chris. I really appreciate you being on the call, man.
You're welcome. Have a good day, Jason. Take care.
All right. Thanks. Well, I appreciate everybody being on the call. I'm going to go ahead and end the call now for everybody. We do have a meeting next week here in our office with Mutual of Omaha, January 28th. They're going to be here talking about their products. So if you want to stop in, and we're actually going to give out a 4-hour CE voucher. It's not a CE class. What you'll get is like those web CE type of things where you can go on and get a free 4-hour online class. That's going to be available. Lunch will be served, courtesy of Mutual of Omaha. That's here in our office. That's January 29th. So if you can make that, you should definitely come on and make that. But I appreciate everybody being on the call, and you guys have a great weekend and have a great rest of your day.